Welcome to Fantasy Football Court. We are four regular guys talking all things fantasy football. Unlike some other shows, we only talk about fantasy football. We make our arguments, we present our cases, and you are the judge. We are all in the same fantasy football league. The people are real, the league is real, and the trash talking is real. Court is now in session. Welcome again to Fantasy Football Court. We're glad you joined us today. We hope you enjoy the show. My name is Charles.
My name is Andrew.
My name's Nick.
He forgot who he was.
Let's start this show over.
Today we're going to cover the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to put them on the stand. We're going to cross-examine them and question the positions, the players, and those type of things. Just to get a first general thought of the team, I'm going to start with Jeremy. What do you think of the Cincinnati Bengals overall?
I think with the Bengals this year, I think of a word called improvement. I think their offense, as far as it goes to fantasy football, I think there'll be an improved offense this year. I do think there's still some question marks on their team, but I believe that there are some improvements that's happened for this team.
Nick?
About the same as last year. I think they're going to struggle a little bit. They never addressed the offensive line.
Andy?
I agree with Nick. I think they're going to be about the same that you had last year. If Eifert comes back healthy, it might add some to it, but it's going to be about the same as last year.
All right, we're going to start out with the first position, the most important with any team, and that's the one that handles the ball the most. That'd be in the center. I'm just kidding. The quarterback, yeah, he's the one that makes the decisions, who he hands it to or who he throws it to. And what do we think about the quarterback position? I'm going to start with Nick first on this one.
All right, well, I have Andy Dalton ranked as my 18th ranked quarterback.
So he wouldn't start in our league?
No, he would not. He is a quarterback 2, about a middle of the road, I guess, quarterback 2 for me. I'm not very high. He struggled last year because of the offensive line issues. All they did was bring in Andre Smith back, and he's not a pass blocker. He helped the running game a little bit but as far as that, I don't see him being about the same as last year. He has no help on that offensive line. They added weapons in John Ross and Joe Mixon, but that wasn't their problem. Their problem was the offensive line.
And you don't see an improvement. I mean, Andy Dalton is who Andy Dalton is. Is that what you're saying? You don't really see. I mean, you don't see a big improvement coming from him this year.
I really don't see much of improvement at all.
Jeremy, you have any thoughts on
I think with adding a few of the pieces that they've added, i.e. Joe Mixon, John Ross, I think that he does have a little bit of improvement. I have him right at that bubble in that 12, 13, 14 range, where that if one of the big guys goes down, you plug him in as your starter and let him roll. I think that this year possibly, though, could be the biggest year of Andy Dalton's career.
Well, he needs a big one.
Yeah.
I think if things go well with the playmakers they added, I do think the offensive line is a little improved. I don't think it's greatly, but I think it's a little. I think Andy Dalton could possibly have 45 plus 100 yards and 30 TDs. If that happens, that puts him in the top 10.
Well, you have him currently going a little higher than his ADPs. Right now, he's the 18th quarterback taken off the board. Andy, any thoughts on Andy Dalton?
That offensive line kind of scares me, but with adding the weapons, like y'all said, you've already said it, he has more options now to go to, and I think because of that, it's not just A.J. Green. It's not just Tyler Eifert if he's healthy. So with that, he could have a big year. I agree with Jeremy. That offensive, they've lost 2 offensive linemen last year that were regulars, and just see how that goes. So.
I don't think anybody wants Andy Dalton as their first quarterback, do they? No. Surely nobody will pick him as their first quarterback.
He's the quarterback I pick that I'm hoping has a breakout year.
And he could.
Yeah.
Out of all the quarterbacks in the thing, I'm excited to see what happens with Andy Dalton.
All right. Let's move on to the running backs now. And drafted a player that I believe could really be an impact player this year. We'll do a show later on in the year, or coming up in the next few weeks, about some of the rookies that were drafted and their impact on their teams this year. But Joe Mixon was drafted. Nick, what do you think of the backfield?
I don't know. They say they love Joe Mixon. They think he's the mix between Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill. The power of Jeremy Hill, the flash of Gio Bernard. They think he's the mixture, better and not above. I have him as my 19th ranked running back, so I'm a little weary because he is a rookie running back, and they have offensive line issues. So I'm a little weary on him. Plus, you have the Jeremy Hill. They're still, and Gio Bernard still going to get some touches. So I'm a little bit weary because it seems like they're still going to be in committee, and with the offensive line issues, I'm a little bit lower on him than probably most.
Well, Joe Mixon right now is the highest running back being chosen off the Bengals team, and he's currently the 17th running back being drafted. But he's higher than Jeremy Hill, who's 51st, and Gianova Bernard, who's 49th. Jeremy, any thoughts?
I've got Joe Mixon around where Nick does, about the 20th mark, 21st. I think he has great upside potential, but I think if he begins to struggle, that they'll go back to Gio Bernard and Jeremy Hill once Gio Bernard's healthy. Now, Gio Bernard's coming off an injury, still has some things that he's got to do, but Joe Mixon, I think, is a solid running back, but I don't know that I would classify him elite this year. Gio Bernard, legit upside PPR guy. Problem is with Gio, he's just going to drive you nuts every week. You're going to plug him in because you like the matchup, and he's going to get you 6 points. Then you're going to have him on the bench next week, and he's going to catch 8 passes and a touchdown and have 15, 16, 17 points.
Right.
The problem with him is he's TD reliant. If he has a TD, you want him those games. When weeks he doesn't have a TD, you don't want him at all.
Andy, any thoughts on the backfield?
I do think that Mixon's probably going to end up getting a heavy dose of playing time for Cincinnati, and he's going to be one that's going to get you some receptions out of the backfield. And as long as he can keep from punching any females in the face, he ought to be all right.
But I don't see anybody in this backfield that any of us are excited about. I mean, that we want, we're salivating to hopefully maybe.
No, I'm not salivating. I'm cautiously optimistic with Joe Mixon is what I would call it.
Where do you think you're comfortable taking him? Maybe 4th round? He's a
I would take Joe Mixon somewhere in that 18 to 23 running back spot, wherever that falls.
And that's about where he's falling.
Yeah, I'd say about 5th round.
Okay. Any thoughts anymore on that? Running back?
No, the 2 other running backs, they scare me. I mean, I think we've all had them before in the last couple of years, and they're very inconsistent. Maybe with the weapons they have now, it could be a little bit different. But
well, anytime you have a committee, you just don't know if it's your guy's turn to get the ball.
I think Mixon could end up being that running back.
I think so.
To kind of put some separation between him and the other guys as far as playing time.
I think Cincinnati wants him to be their main running back. Now, whether he can take that and run with it is yet to be seen. But
I still though think Mixon's probably at best, if he plays out of his mind, the 3rd best rookie running back this year in fantasy football.
Well, just since you brought it up, who would you have as the other 2?
Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey.
Even over Leonard Fournette.
I think Leonard Fournette struggles because of
Jacksonville
and their offensive
He
line.
does, but he will be the main running back. But I guess that's another show for when we cover the positions. I just wanted to find out who he thought. All right, let's move to the wide receivers. Jeremy, I'm going to start with you. With A.J. Green, he's currently the 5th wide receiver taken off the board in current drafts. What do you think of the receivers for Cincinnati?
I hate owning A.J. Green because he's very up and down points-wise. But if he's there at picks 8 through 14,
You about got to take
you
him.
have to look at him.
Yeah.
He can be injury prone, but I think he's got better upside this year than he has in years past because John Ross, and I'm not high on John Ross because what happens is with John Ross, he runs a 4.22 40, and everybody gets all excited. Oh my gosh, 4.22 40. 4.22 40 don't matter if you can't catch the ball consistently or if you can't run a good route.
Right.
And we saw he ran a 4.22 40, and when they played in the playoffs last year against Alabama and even toward the end of the year against some of the other good teams at USC, John Ross struggled even with 4.22 40 speed to get separation and to have big games.
Even in college.
So I think that Ross is going to demand respect. He's going to pull the safety over a little bit just because of speed, but I don't know that he makes A.J. Green a top 3. I think A.J. Green is still the 4th, 5th, 6th best receiver. I don't think he vaults him up into the Antonio Brown, Julio
But you
Jones.
definitely see him in 1st round. I mean,
late first, early second, worst case. And what I mean by early second, that's picks 13, 14.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts on the receivers?
I have A.J. Green as my 4th receiver. That's I have Julio, Antonio Brown, and Mike Evans. I actually have him above Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
So, but as far as John Ross goes, I don't really even have him being drafted. I have him 64th receiver. So I've only done 65 receivers, so that tells you anything.
John Ross is currently the 51st receiver being drafted.
Yeah, I think he's boomer bust kind of
Yeah.
guy. Kind of like we talked a couple episodes back about Miami Dolphins, Kenny Stills, boomer bust, because he's going to take the top off the defense, and which is probably going to help AJ Green a lot. But I don't see John Ross having consistency and really staying healthy, because against a physical corner, I mean, how much can he try to get by that physical corner and get up there, get downfield? So I have some question marks about John Ross, but I do like AJ Green this year.
Any other receivers, y'all? Or
Yeah, Tyler Boyd and Brandon LaFell, but
They're
free agent wire.
They're not even
pickups.
being drafted in the
well,
average draft. Andy, you got any thoughts on the receivers?
Yeah, in the years past, I've been afraid of AJ Green.
Yeah, I don't.
Being on my team because of the Bengals' offense struggles, injuries. But this year, I think things are different this year. And if he falls in the right spot to me, even in the first round, if it has to go, I'll feel comfortable picking AJ Green this year. I think he could have some of those Julio numbers because of who's around him this year and some of these pickups they have in the offense. And it just seems like they put together the team where I think AJ could have a really big year this year.
If you're sitting there at pick number 6 and the 3 running backs, Julio and Antonio Brown, are off the board, do you draft him at pick number 6?
I'm not excited.
I think I do.
I don't. I'm going Melvin Gordon.
Ooh,
I think I might draft AJ Green at this spot.
Lord, I hope I'm not number
I'm higher on him than I am Odell Beckham Jr. though. A lot of people have him pretty high.
I'm not.
I'm
Pick
seeing
six
him going
could
him
be-
before Antonio Brown in some places.
no.
I just
Pick
don't see
6
that.
this year
I-
could be the hardest pick in the
Pick
draft.
six,
Oh, yeah.
the middle of the draft. I don't think you really want this year.
In years past, that's where you kind of wanted to lay
Yeah,
it. Not this
absolutely.
year. I'd rather at the top of the
I
bottom.
tell you, last year I made a mistake and passed on it. It was coming down the draft day. I had DeAndre Hopkins and AJ Green, and I talked to another person in the league I know now that I should never ever listen to. But anyway, he taught
Is
me
it the guy
into-
that passed on Travis Kelce also?
Yes, that guy. Well, anyway, because he pointed out injuries and stuff, so I went DeAndre Hopkins.
Chester.
I never should have done that. I knew I should have went. I was leaning AJ Green the whole day, and that was a mistake.
I think this year is going to be a big year for him. I really do.
I
I
do.
mean, I think he's going to have a good year.
I'm not really big on the Bengals overall. Y'all remember, and that's not to say last names. Y'all remember when Mike, every pick he picked a Bengal? Remember
Yeah.
Mike? I don't want to say his last name, but he picked Bengal.
That was an
Bingle.
awful year for the Bengals.
He did not win a game
Not
in
one
fantasy
game.
football. I've never seen that. I've never played where somebody
Well,
lost every
that's
game.
where-
in fantasy
He only
football.
played 1 year.
He only played 1 year.
Well,
He-
but that's where Mike played college football. He's got really close friends that play
I
the
know.
NFL. So here's what happened: he allowed emotion
played with his heart.
to play with his heart. That's
Yeah.
where, when you sit down and play your draft, you have to. I don't care if you're the biggest fan of whatever team out
Exactly.
there. You have to push emotions aside
Exactly.
and get down
It's hard to
business
do.
and say, look, this is it. This is what I tell everybody: draft with your brain, not your gut or
Yeah.
heart.
Go
Yeah.
with numbers and facts.
Yeah, there's certain
Absolutely.
players I just don't like, and I remember one year I did not want the Kansas City running back Jamal Charles. I didn't want him. I was hoping he didn't fall to me. This was the first year we played, and he fell to me, and I said, Jamal Charles, I'll take him. He wound up having the career seasons of all running backs, probably of all time. I mean, he won me the Super Bowl, but that just goes to show you don't always play with your heart. But you know what? It's your team too, and if there's somebody you just don't like. If it's somebody that's at the top of the list and everybody says, but you just don't like him, I mean, it's your money, it's your league. You can do whatever you want. But there's certain players I just don't want, but we're not going to get so much into that. All right, we covered the wide receivers, and we all in consensus that A.J. Green is probably a first-round draft choice, no doubt. All right, let's look at the tight ends. I'm going to start with Andy on this. I haven't really gone to him much since he's our tech guy, but I'm going to put him on the spot.
Can he stay healthy? And if he can, he has I had him a couple years ago, and he was huge for me.
Yeah.
Huge.
When he stayed on the field.
But can he stay healthy? If he can, he's a big target. He's 6'6", 255. He's a big target.
Oh, yeah.
And Andy Dalton got to where he trusted him and got a lot of touchdowns. He had 13 touchdowns a couple of years ago. That's the year I had him. Ended up doing real well. Only had 5 last year. Can he stay healthy? That's the biggest thing.
He's currently being picked the 7th tight end overall in fantasy football. Nick, any thoughts on the tight end?
Yeah, I have him as my 7th tight end. That's right where I have him. So that's about right. I mean, I like him probably, but another thing is staying healthy, and so I actually like him. With Andy Dalton likes to rely on him, so I like him a lot.
They go to him in the red zone.
Yeah,
I have him as my number 5.
Wow, you're higher on him than most.
I am. I really like Eifert.
He has that potential.
He
does.
Absolutely. I never will forget. I was in Miami when Notre Dame played Bama for the championship, and I was at an event where Eifert was there, and I remember looking at Eifert saying, "Holy crap, this dude is huge."
Yeah, he's a big man.
And you look at
He's Gronkowski big, isn't he? Aren't they about the same size?
yeah. When you look at him, the thing about him, he's huge, but he's very agile, very smooth. He doesn't play bulky. He plays.
Wide receiver.
I'm going to make a bold prediction here, but he reminds me of the Denver Broncos' great tight end that they lined up at wide receiver. What was his name?
I don't know if you're going to bring him up. You need to know.
I know, but anyway, he reminds me of a tight end that you can split out and run receiver, and
Yeah,
he
he can.
and he can be that type tight end, and so he's one of. Like I said, I've got him at 5. I'm not complaining if he falls to me when I'm drafting my tight ends because I'm going to snap him up.
So if you draft him early, are you confident going through the season with him?
If I draft him early, I'll probably turn around and take a tight end that I think could be a boom or bust type guy. I'm comfortable enough with him that my backup tight end would be somebody that I think would just be could be a guy that if he did tank that didn't hurt me.
But we're all pretty
if
much.
he stays healthy though, you've got a great tight end for the whole.
If he stays healthy, he could end up
number 1.
I don't know if I'd have him number 1, but I think he could end up right there in that Greg Olsen, Travis Kelce numbers for the year.
yeah.
So if you can get him later, the better pick.
I don't
you
think you're going to get him later, but
I don't think we're the only people high on him this year.
No.
But I do think that you could catch him round 8, 7 or 8 probably.
All right.
According to how it depends on how your league values tight ends.
Yeah, there's some leagues that give more points for tight ends, and I really thought ours did, but I guess we don't. All right, let's move on to the defense. Any thoughts on the defense? I'll start with Andy again on the defense.
I think they're another one of those teams that's kind of in the middle of the road on defense.
Yeah.
There's nothing that really stands out. Matchup, there's some teams they play really well every year.
They seem to.
And other than that, there's nothing really impressive about the defense in my book.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Middle of the road defense, just depending on the matchups when you're going to pick them up and play them.
Jeremy?
Risk reward defense.
Yeah.
17 interceptions, 33 sacks last year.
Yeah.
Those interceptions mount up,
Yes,
sack
they do.
points mount up.
Yes, they do.
I think that I'm not saying go out and draft them as your number 1 defense, but they're going to get you some points. Now, they're going to cost you some points.
Right.
Because Dre Kirkpatrick's going to forget his assignment and get burned, or Vontaze Burfitt's going to make a boneheaded decision and get kicked out of a game. You're going to have issues with that team, but there are going to be some games they come up with 4 sacks and 3 picks,
Right.
and
They
one
do
of
every
them they
year.
return for a touchdown and really show out. Their end of the season matchups, though. Listen to how they end the season. Denver, Cleveland. They have Pittsburgh, which is not a great matchup.
They always
but
play
then
Pittsburgh
Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit. So the last 6 games of the year, you start them 5 of the 6 games, if
Yeah.
not possibly all 6, depending on how Pittsburgh is injury-wise at that point.
That's true.
And Cincinnati does pretty good on their special teams, which you get points in our league with
Right.
defense special teams. So.
All right, let's move on to the kicker, which I know if you've watched a few of our shows, I don't personally put a whole lot on a kicker. I'll change them out. I got no problem with that. I normally try to pick up a dome kicker for that week. There's probably very few kickers that I would just hang on to on my roster and not turn loose, and I don't think this team has one.
Justin Tucker's the only one that I would.
The only one you would
the
hold
only
on to?
one that I would just put, not worry about.
Their
Maybe
kicker,
Gostkowski.
Gostkowski probably
Yeah.
for New
That's
England.
about it.
their kicker is Jake Elliott. He's a rookie this year out of Memphis. He did really good with Memphis, but he's a rookie.
Yeah. Nick, any thoughts on the kicker?
No, they got 3 kickers on the roster: Jonathan Brown, Randy Bullock, and Jake Elliott. I guess they're gonna have a
Was
competition.
Bullock the guy that was at Houston? I
Jake
think so.
Elliott, though, they drafted pretty high.
Oh, did they?
I think they drafted him like in the 5th round, so
Really?
they're going to want him to play.
Oh.
No, their kickers doesn't do nothing for me. All right, overall, let's give a brief overall what we think of what we just covered. I think we covered all the players and about where you need to take them. Andy, any thoughts?
I think Cincinnati's going to be a fun team to watch this year, and their offense is going to be better. And I'm looking forward to see what they get out of their position players.
I don't really have much. I try to stay away from as many Bengals as I can unless I'm forced to.
Just interested to see if maybe the O-line improves and how their offense gels.
Breakouts. When I
Yeah.
see this team, I think this could possibly be a team that has a breakout
Quarterback, wide
offensive
receiver.
year. And I think they all feed off each other. That's the thing. I'm
Success
not going to
begets
say I'm not going to say draft a whole bunch of Cincinnati Bengals, but I do think, as you were about to say, success breeds success. Confidence breeds confidence. So I think that this could be a team that if the quarterback Andy Dalton gets hot early, AJ Green then catches on, then Tyler Heifert gets going, then that opens up for Joe Mixon, and you could see phenomenal numbers.
that's right.
You could have an offense that averages 40-plus points a game.
Could have
in
a
this
big,
offense.
big year.
Yeah,
I don't see it though. But
yeah, I
anyway.
don't. Not unless the offensive line.
Yeah, me and
finds
Nick
a
are
way
in
to
agreement
improve.
on this one. But any team, the New York Jets could possibly
come on now, you can't-
lead the league in every possibly. I'm just kidding. I'm not putting
Cincinnati has the potential on their
Cincinnati-
offense to have a breakout year.
They're due. I mean, they have consistently been inconsistent at the end of
And
every year.
The thing I like about Cincinnati, too, that a lot of the other teams don't, and y'all want to roll your eyes at this probably, but if Andy Dalton goes down, I don't think it's a death knell for them. I think A.J. McCarron is a good enough quarterback that it does not kill them.
They've kept him on the roster this whole time, so they have confidence
Well,
in
they
him.
have a good backup quarterback for cheap. That's
Yeah.
the reason they don't want to get rid of him.
All right. I think we're going to close it out. If you have any questions or comment, hit us up on.
You go to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at FFCourt.
Appreciate you watching. If you have, like I said, hit us up if you have complaints, any things like that. We'll be more than happy to answer. Be a part of your league, whatever you want. Thank you for watching Fantasy Football Court.
And with that, court is adjourned.